What's up, everybody? My name is Scott Waters. Welcome to No Life Till Metal. It's time for a rock metal update. That's right. It's time for a metal update. All metal update, as a matter of fact. All vinyl, all metal, almost all 12 inches. And going to start off right away with some classic heavy metal. These first 3 or 4 are all just classic, traditional style heavy metal. First up, we've got Philadelphia, Search and Destroy. Just one that I was missing from my collection. A classic album from 1986, I think, or 85, somewhere in that area. Just straightforward heavy metal. This one is kind of hard to come by these days. It shows up on eBay occasionally for 70, 80 bucks. I didn't pay anywhere near that for this one. I got lucky in a deal, so very cool. Philadelphia Search and Destroy, again, just straightforward heavy metal, you know, in the tradition of bands like Judas Priest. So very good stuff. If you haven't checked them out, you can hear their stuff on YouTube. Next up, a Belgium band who's got that new wave traditional heavy metal sound. I picked this one up for $9.99, still sealed. Thanks to Harmless Rebel, who found this and pointed it out to me to grab it before it was gone, and I did. Still sealed. Acid's self-titled album. Female vocals, like I said, very much in the tradition of that new wave of British heavy metal sound from the early 80s. This is on, let's see, Wax Maniacs Records. And I haven't even popped this one open yet because I also picked up the CD version, and I've been spinning that one quite a bit. And I will open up the vinyl version and spin it as well. But I've been spinning the CD version in my car pretty regularly, so that's why I haven't popped the vinyl open yet. Great pickup. My second album I have on vinyl from them, though I think I have all their albums on CD now. Anyhow, legendary debut LP on vinyl for the first time since 1983. This is the second album by Black Lace. By the look of the name of the band, you might expect them to be some kind of glam metal. No, it's really just traditional, straightforward heavy metal. Again, female vocals, much like Acid. Acid kind of have more of a Motorhead-ish sound, especially this early stuff. Just very raw, you know, Motorhead, Tank, and that kind of area. Black Lace are a little more refined, a little more like the driving riffs of early 80s Judas Priest would kind of be a good example. Anyhow, this is Get It While It's Hot, 1980. Woo, I forgot the year of this one completely. See if it's on here anywhere. Of course not. On Mausoleum Records, I don't know. It's early 80s. I'm thinking like 84, 85, somewhere in that area. Maybe even 86. But anyhow, very good band, and I really like this album. It's actually the only one I have from them. I need to get their first album one of these days. It's on the long and never-ending eternal want list. This is actually a gift from a friend of mine, Josh Ekstead, and I actually kept a letter in here that he sent me along with it. And this is a Japanese band. Again, straightforward heavy metal, but really it doesn't sound like either one of the 2 bands I showed before this one, the 3 bands I showed before this one. This is Tightrope from 1986, Restless Records. This is pretty much like Loudness. I mean, I hate to say it since Loudness is probably one of the most well-known Japanese bands, but they really do have a similar vibe to some of the heavier Loudness albums. The look of the album cover, again, might have you thinking it's kind of glammy, but it's not. It's just traditional, straightforward heavy metal. And it is, this time, male vocals. Anthem, Tightrope. Wish I had the time and the, to spin all these as I'm showing them, but I'm assuming that, if you're watching my channel, you're probably going to check some of these out, and I really highly suggest checking out Anthem. Great band who never really saw the success of a band like Loudness. Alright, now we're going to get into a couple bootlegs I picked up, live bootlegs. This next one kind of will work into the traditional heavy metal, but this is Black Sabbath, 1969 this recording was. This is one of the earliest Sabbath recordings. Grabbed this from Shadow Kingdom Records, and Hell's Headbangers has it as well. But yeah, this is really early recordings. You can hear a lot of the songs from the first album, although they're a little different here. Some of the lyrics are different. Some of the jams are different. And there's also some stuff on here that they didn't record. Blue-Blooded Man, Song for Jim with the drum solo, Early Morning Blues. I've actually heard this, I had a tape of this a long time ago, and the first thing that struck me was the songs are in a different order. And I'm assuming that they did that on purpose to fit it onto the single album. But it's still a very, very good album. The sound quality is not bad. You know, it's 1969, so you're not, you know, it's not going to be perfect digital recording, but it's actually a very enjoyable record if you're a Sabbath fan. Highly recommend picking it up before it disappears and becomes double its price, because it wasn't even that expensive. Well, maybe it was. It might have been around $25 with shipping. Had to sell a couple things because I wanted that, and I got it. This one I got in a trade. This is Overkill, Wrecking Paris, 1987. Love Overkill, one of my favorite bands. Of course, this being the early years when they were on Atlantic Records. Pure thrash metal, cool back cover photo, great set list. Unfortunately, the sound quality, it's, I'd say below par. This is nothing more than a collector's item, in my opinion. Not something most Overkill fans are going to listen to more than once or twice, including myself. But it's cool to have just because I will pick up anything, you know, Overkill related. And that's a cool bootleg from '87 in Paris. Continuing on with the thrash metal sound, you know, we got Overkill, and now we're going to show a band. This band's called After All. This is a 10-inch EP. I picked up their new album, basically, Waves of Annihilation. And here's the new album. It came with a sticker. Single album, but it is a gatefold. They do have colored vinyl if you're interested. I picked up the black vinyl. Wasn't worth the extra, I don't know, $5 or $6 to me for a colored vinyl when I think black vinyl sounds just as good, if not better. But this is, I don't know, I've showed their stuff before. After All are just a fantastic speed metal band. This one here is just, if you like that high, clean vocals, those high-pitched screams, the low grunts, I mean, this has everything you'd want from a classic speed metal band, you know? Think along the lines of like Deliverance Weapons of Our Warfare or early Agent Steel. That's the kind of stuff you're going to get with After All. I mean, this is phenomenal stuff. I've you know, championed for this band before, and I'm going to champion them again. If this one doesn't make my top 10 of this year, I'd be surprised. It really is that good. Well, I shouldn't say that because this actually came out in 2016, but it came out at the end of 2016. I just finally received it, so I don't know. We'll see. I guess it's not technically supposed to make the list, but it probably will anyhow. But anyhow, Waves of Annihilation, their latest album, as well as their latest 10-inch single. This has Rejection Overruled from this album, and then it's got None Can Deny and Land of Sin with special guests from Andy LaRocque on guitar. Of course, Andy LaRocque being, you know, Merciful Fate guitarist. This is number 76 of 300 pressed. 10-inch vinyl from After All, and I'm thinking After All they're a Belgian band. I may be wrong in that. Hope I'm not. If I am, someone correct me. This is a great album, and this is a brand new album. It just came out probably the end of last year, I'm going to say. Maybe a little later than that, but this is Power Trip, and this thing is super glossy because it's still in the shrink wrap. I haven't even taken the shrink wrap off. Picked this one up in California at, I think I picked it up on Amoeba. And the thing about Amoeba is most of their new metal records are, the prices, I mean the minimum they are like $25. Nothing new seems to be any less than $25. But I was looking for this one when I was there, and I picked it up and I was figuring it to be $25, $30. And I don't know if you can see the price tag is still on there, but $16.99, brand new. That's a good price for a record, especially a new record, and especially one that I was looking for. So of course I snatched it up. This is awesome thrash metal. You know, I love the new wave of thrash. It started in the 2000s and still continues to go strong these days. But a lot of those bands really do try and sound like other bands, even name themselves other bands. But there's some bands that really just stand out to me. Bands like Havoc. I've liked Havoc since their first album. Even played some shows with them, and I just think those guys have really just created their own sound. Yeah, they've got some Testament influences, Exodus influences, but what thrash band doesn't, right? Vindicator, Vector, you know, they have a great sound. But same with Power Trip. I just think these guys stand heads and tails above a lot. I believe these guys are from, if I'm not mistaken, they're from Philadelphia. I could be wrong, but go Flyers. Power Trip, Manifest, Decimation. Is there a year on this thing? I just knew it was something newer. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's from this year or last year. If I'm wrong, somebody, again, correct me. You guys, you know, always do, and I appreciate that. Keep it on, because I'm about to show. Didn't want this to be a half-an-hour video. Picked this one up in Arizona, actually. I was on a trip through Arizona. I stopped in a Bookman's in Flagstaff, and I picked this one up. I think it was $10. It's got a little bit of wear, a little bit of ring wear. It's got a hole punch from being a promo copy, but vinyl's in good shape, and you know, it's not often you run across an Uncle Slam record. Crossover thrash, you know, kind of has that Suicidal Tendencies vibe going on with it. This was their first album. I have their second and third album on CD. Didn't have this in any form, so nice to have it finally in one form or another. Also thought it was a cool cover. Got the bionic Uncle Sam going on there with his money and his guns and his guitar and, and his cigarettes. So there you go. Uncle Slam. Crossover thrash metal. Here's two from this band. From Germany. This is the second album, 1988, I believe. From Angel Dust. This was To Dust You Will Decay. This is a recent repressing. I believe it was from early last year. Let's see if there's a year on here somewhere. 2015 this was released on vinyl. I'm surprised they're still around because they were limited to, I think, 500 copies. I did manage to snag this copy from Get Imports. I can't remember how much it was. It was under 20 bucks, so I wanted to grab them before they were gone. Angel Dust vinyl is hard to find no matter what. Like I said, this is a reissue. This album originally released in 1988. This is it is speed thrash metal. However, unlike their first album, which was a little more raw, this one is still a little more refined. You get songs like Winds of an Angel, which actually kind of takes them into the future, what they were starting doing with the European power metal sound. But this is a good combination of, you know, thrash and power metal. Very, very good album. Very nice cover art. Yeah. German power metal, again, No Remorse Records out of Greece. And then on top of that, I picked up the last album that they put out, which was from 2002. They haven't released another album since then. This is on a kind of a, I don't know what you call that, lemon yellow vinyl on the Alone label. This was one of two. They put two of their albums out at the exact same time a couple years ago. Again, I wanted to grab them before they were gone. 2015. This is number 79. I have only 250 available, so I had to grab it before it was gone. Again, this is a Shadows Kingdom Records pickup. So if you're interested in this one, I'd grab it quick because, like I said, there's not a whole lot left. Great European power metal, clean vocals, very good vocals actually, and not a whole lot of them available. Let's see what we got here. So we'll show the last few. There's 5 more here. Moving away a little bit from the thrash metal. This is None More Black. This is Metallica's Black album. This one I did have on vinyl, and when I ran across a copy on the YouTube, not the YouTube, on the let's see, the Facebook record CD tape asylum page, somebody had it on there for a good price. I don't remember what I paid for it. Doesn't really matter, but it wouldn't have been. I wouldn't have bought it if it was a lot. So I actually like this album. A lot of people, you know, like to bag on it because it was a more commercial album. It wasn't thrash anymore. Really, I mean, was Injustice for All thrash? Really wasn't. Master of Puppets wasn't even all thrash. Matter of fact, most of it wasn't thrash. And I don't really think this is a bad album. Enter Sandman was a huge hit on this album for him. You know, they ended up selling millions and millions of copies of this album. I like it. I mean, you know, whatever. You know, if you don't, that's cool too. I don't care. Top selling album of the past 25 years. Over 16 sold. Over 16 were sold. Wow. Over 60 million were sold in the U.S. alone. Double album. Not a gatefold. It's just one of those double wide albums. It does have an insert. I guess I can pull that out real quick. I'm sure everybody's seen this album. Like I said, it's, you know, kind of see the, I don't know how well that's going to show on the, without the glare, but the snake is in there, and it's done with different sort of glosses, a high gloss and a dull varnish. So there's the insert with photos of the band. Not much to it. Pretty simple center rings as well. This is on the band's own blackened label. Very cool. Just one I didn't have, so when I saw it for cheap, I snagged it. Next two, another Twosome from a Band. These are also reissues. Just two I didn't have. I have most of the original pressings of this band. These ones were just a bear to find. But this is the recent reissue of the mentioned Hatros, Voivod, as well as Killing Technology from Voivod. And I love Voivod. Canadian, progressive, thrash, heavy metal, whatever you want to call it. Most people just label them prog because their sound never kind of stayed the same. It definitely started off as a more punk-influenced thrash band with those early albums, but by this time it was more, I don't know, it was far from traditional thrash. Very progressive, all sci-fi. Always loved the cover art. It's Voivod. If you don't know Voivod and you're in the metal, then you're doing yourself a disservice. Do check them out. And these are pretty, easy to find right now since they were reissued on Noise Records. BMG, I guess, owns Noise now. 87 and 86. So there you go. I love Voivod. So excuse me, allergies. One of my favorite bands, and I have all their stuff on CD. I have most of their stuff on vinyl. Those two had just eluded me for years, and I'm glad to finally have them. Special thanks to Greeno for the shout out, letting me know where to find them cheaper than they were selling from most places. So this is another one that this is actually, I might have showed this one before. Motorhead Hammered. I love this album. Saw them on this tour. They were fantastic. They were actually the opening band for Dio and Iron Maiden on this tour back in about 2012. It might have been 2002. Wow, even further back than I remember. And just a very solid Motorhead album. Do I like it as much as their early 70s stuff? Yep, I really do. This is a great album. But like I said, I might have showed this one before. I had a brand new copy that I purchased a few years ago when it first came out on vinyl. I don't know when it was re-released. It doesn't say on the back when it was re-released. But regardless, I opened that one up finally, gave it a spin, and it was warped. So I had to, ask for another copy. Unfortunately, the place I bought it from didn't have one, so I just shipped it back, gave him my money back. I ended up finding this copy cheaper than that one, so on Amazon. Snagged it. It's funny because I went back and checked Amazon now, and there's no cheap copies at all anymore. So Motorhead Hammered from 2002. And let's see what we got. One left. This is the last album. This is actually going to move away from thrash, sort of. This is, I'd call it death metal, or I don't know what you call it. To me, Deceased has always been straightforward death metal, a little bit of thrash influences. King Folly, this is his. Everyone knows him as this band. This is Fearless Undead Machines, a classic if there ever was one, especially from the Deceased catalog. Always been one of my favorites. A concept album all about the Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead movies rolled into one album. Gatefold, lyrics and some artwork. I think this one is available on colored vinyl, but as usual, if it's available or if it's not something really special, I pick up the black vinyl and custom center rings. It is a 2-album set, so very cool. That's my metal update for, what are we in, September of 2017. If you know any of this stuff or like any of this stuff or have any recommendations even, leave a message below. I always get back to everybody. Appreciate y'all watching. That's it for this edition of Rock Metal Update. God bless. Stay strong.